Hey, you know the podcast, How I Built That? Well, they experienced incredible growth simply by doing one thing, and that was tapping into their guest network. These guests became powerful brand ambassadors, propelling their visibility. Now imagine if you could do the same for your show. Trick is, you totally can. Today we're going to talk about post-interview strategies that can turn your guests into brand ambassadors. I think about the brand ambassadors I had growing up as a kid. So like Michael Jordan representing Nike, right? He was a really powerful tool in their marketing toolkit. And this goes for any industry, whether we're talking tech, fashion, sports, you name it. Their ability to nearly instantly build a brand's credibility, bolster their know, like, and trust factor because their audience has trust in them. It's unparalleled. You know me, I'm full of questions. My question for you right now is, have you ever thought about doing that for your podcast? Have you ever thought about utilizing these strategies that we know are proven and they work at variety of different levels of scale? Have you ever thought about using that for your live show? Just picture the moment that Elon Musk, sitting across the table from Joe Rogan, sparks up a giant doobie. That moment goes down in history. That one single episode brought more controversy and more eyeballs to the Joe Rogan podcast than any other episode. Now, what if your guests, with their unique influence, could do the same for your show? But it doesn't just happen. I, for years, had an interview show with great people as my guests, but because I wasn't following the right post-interview process, I lost out on all of those possibilities. I learned the hard way, so you don't have to. But utilizing this strategy is like tending to a garden. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something you have to consciously be working at on a regular, consistent basis. But I promise you, when you do it, it is beautiful in the results that you get. The relationships you have and you build with your guests need to be nurtured. They're not something that you just set it and forget it. You have to continuously nurture, feed, and add value to those relationships. Remember, with any guest, we are not focusing on asking. We must first focus on serving. It's about building rapport, maintaining that friendship, and making sure that you're constantly following up, checking in, all of that kind of stuff. You also need to make sure that you're making your guests feel special. Maybe give them exclusive content or access to one of your programs. Maybe connect them with someone else in your circle or your networking world that could help them take the next step in their world. Think of it like they come on your show and then they leave with a toolbox filled with resources to help promote your brand and become those brand ambassadors. Now let's look at a real life example. Hands up if you have ever listened to the Smart Passive Income podcast or the SPI podcast from Pat Flynn. This podcast has so effectively utilized this strategy and turned their guests into brand ambassadors. And the result? A huge expansion in their reach. But on the other hand, a lot of podcasts started out like mine, failing to leverage the power of our guests. The consequences are clear. It's a missed opportunity for growth. What are some of the common pitfalls? Well, imagine planting a seed, expecting it to grow into a beautiful, majestic tree or something, but you don't water it. Yeah, it's never going to grow. That's the same thing you're doing when you have an interview on your show and you never follow up with your guest afterwards. It's like not giving them the right tools to promote your podcast or your live show adequately. It's kind of like if you were a king and you had a knight and you sent him into battle without any armor on. It's kind of not going to come back. He's not going to be beneficial to you in the long run. So nurture your relationships with your guests and give them the right tools that they need to spread the word, to become evangelicals for your movement, basically. So if you're ready to take the plunge, start implementing these. Definitely check out the video that's coming later on this week on our Visibility Hackers YouTube channel, because we're going to talk about the essential steps post-interview that you you need to take in order to truly leverage your guests' reach, really leverage the ability for them to help you expand your visibility, introduce you to their audiences, and so much more. Why not keep the conversation going? Join us in the comment section. Let us know how it goes with your podcast and your interviews. Are you following up with them? Do you have an assistant follow up with them? Let us know your strategies. And don't forget to join us in the Visibility Hackers Facebook group. You're going to want to join us for Friday Night Live. You will not want to miss this week's episode. We got lots of tips, tricks, and strategies coming right your way. So until I see you next time, my friends, remember, I love you. Be excellent to each other.